everybody, it's your boy Jack here, and welcome to the 4-Minute Film Reviews. Today in this 4-Minute Film Review, I'm going to be talking about one movie, that one movie being Dunkirk. I'm going to be breaking it down to 4 points, each point gets a minute, therefore constituting a 4-minute film review. I'm going to be talking about 4 different points about Dunkirk. And why, you may ask? Why Dunkirk? Well, it's because it's Oscars week. This week I'm going to be daily posting every day leading up to the Oscars. So I believe it's the 26th to the 4th. I'm going to be breaking down each day. I'm going to be posting some kind of film that is somehow nominated for at least one Oscar. So yeah, let's dive into it. Let's dive into point number 1. Point number 1. The first sequence in the film. So the first sequence in the film is phenomenal. I love it. I think it's one of my favorite parts of the film. Well, it's such a great sequence because it really establishes how this film is going to be viewed, the feeling of the film. The first sequence, for those of you who don't know, is the one where Fionn Whitehead's character is running as he and his troop are getting shot at, and the majority of all of them get shot at and die besides him. And it's this first terrifying sequence because you don't know if he's gonna live. You don't know what's gonna happen. And him walking onto Dunkirk Beach, it's a huge moment to be had because it really, as a viewer, solidifies the fear that these men who had fought in World War II on that beach, it really solidifies the fear that they have as soldiers, not knowing whether or not they'll live or they'll die in the next week or day or month or hour. Point number 2, the score. So the score in this film is composed by composer Hans Zimmer. It is a beautiful score because it really does complement the visuals itself. Hans composes his score in order to really confuse and distract the viewer. It is an illusion of fear that you're listening to. For me personally, I can't listen to this score because it's so scary. It gives me goosebumps. It's creepy. There's an ever so often ticking that is ingrained into this film to really describe that time is fading away. That this one day, this 1 week, 1 hour that they all have is fading away so quickly. It is a beautiful score because it complements the film itself. It has these O's and these waves that really do describe souls being lost, and it's just a very, very creepy and cryptic way that this film is being complemented. It really does describe no hope. Point number 3, 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week. So in Dunkirk, they have established 3 main storylines: land, sea, and air. They establish this really well. Each storyline individually is really well developed and really well established. In contrast, they have what ends up happening is with each storyline, it has its own feeling and it has its own theme, and you get really an individual attachment to each storyline. What's great about these 3 storylines is they build them up so well, so once they eventually all cross over with each other, the story becomes a lot more cohesive and it becomes a lot, they sync up together really well. This story ends up becoming even better by the 2nd and 3rd act because they developed each story really well. So once they all cross over from each other, you get an idea of how each other's stories and each other's storylines can connect or connect between each other, and I think that's what's great about this film. Point number 4, the lack of dialogue in this film. So the biggest criticism that a lot of people have with Dunkirk is a lack of dialogue. Obviously with this film there isn't a lot of dialogue and there's not a lot of character development. It's a lot more subtler because this film is visually dependent. Now, most people are like, yo, because of this being a film with lack of dialogue, I don't think it deserves Best Picture. But for me, I look past that. I look past the idea of the lack of dialogue. I think the film having a lack of dialogue makes it such a better film because this being a war film, it shouldn't really be dependent on the fact that these characters need dialogue for development. No, it's a visually dependent film that shows really great visuals to move the story ahead. It doesn't need dialogue or character development to move this film forward. It uses Hans Zimmer's score to really complement the visuals themselves. It's not about character development because these characters are experiencing this as you experience this yourselves. They don't have time to share their opinion. They don't have time to express their thoughts. They only have time to react and survive.